is the head, but the woman is the neck. And the neck can make the head move whatever way she wants. And it determines which way the head will turn, because a wise husband will listen to a wise wife. He will.
So Erika Kirk actually had 2 boyfriends within the 5 years before meeting Charlie Kirk. So why lie about this? Interesting. But there's also another boyfriend. His name is Tyler Massey, and she dated him in 2015. Here we have them doing Fashion Week in Phoenix.
Erika Kirk has recently drawn renewed attention after a past clip began circulating online again, prompting viewers to revisit her comments. The footage, which has been widely shared across platforms.
I was living in New York. The types of relationships that I would have that were work-related were very transactional. In LA, it was like, hey, nice to meet you, but what are you gonna do for me? One yes closer to being on the silver screen,
features her speaking about relationships, and it's now being viewed through a different lens by many online audiences. In the clip, Erika reflects on past relationships, describing some of them as transactional, and uses a well-known metaphor, comparing the wife to the neck and the husband to the head, to suggest that influence within a relationship can sometimes be more subtle or indirect.
Erika Kirk. I am married to the unbelievable husband of mine, Charles Kirk. Charlie. So last time I was here, I was a Franzwe. Now I upgraded my last name to a Kirk. Very transactional. Nice to meet you, do business, go on.
The analogy itself is not uncommon, but it has sparked discussion, particularly given the timing of when the clip was recorded. Reactions to the clip have been mixed. Some viewers interpret her tone as confident and expressive, while others see it as more calculated. At the same time, a number of people have revisited older interviews and public appearances, comparing her past statements with this moment.
One of my favorite movies is My Big Fat Greek Wedding. And so there's a point in the movie where the mom and the daughter are talking about this one moment before she's about to get married, and she's trying to convince the father to do something that he does not want to do. The mom, she's like, don't worry. She's like...
While some believe there are patterns worth noting, others caution that short clips can lack context and may be open to interpretation. As a result, the conversation has continued to grow, with viewers asking whether her comments were simply casual reflections or part of a broader perspective on relationships.
Exactly. Because if you picture the physical body, and it's not meant to be manipulative. Some people are like, oh, I'll move the head wherever I want because I'm going to manipulate my husband. That has nothing to do with it. If you picture the physical body, you can't move your head without your neck. You can't. Your head is supported by your whole body. And it determines which way the head will turn, because a wise husband will listen to a wise wife.
There's no single consensus, but the clip, often linked to a 2021 women's conference in California, has clearly sparked renewed interest and closer attention to her past remarks. Another part of the clip that drew significant attention comes when Charlie is mentioned. At that moment, some viewers noticed a shift in tone as Erika responds with a lighthearted comment, joking that she upgraded her last name. The remark was delivered casually, but it quickly became a focal point in online discussions.
Deserve to have every Epstein file released with no redactions whatsoever, period. And we, the American people, ran on transparency. We deserve to see the entire client list. Yeah. Every document the government has regarding we, the American people, should have on an easy-to-access website immediately in a very, very quick fashion. I'm pushing for that both privately and publicly, just so you know.
That phrasing in particular stood out to many viewers. While some interpreted it as playful humor, others questioned what she may have meant by it, leading to a range of different perspectives. As with much of the clip, interpretations vary depending on how the moment is viewed. She also reiterates her earlier description of a past relationship as transactional, which added another layer to the conversation.
Friend Ghislaine and Ghislaine's father, Robert Maxwell, who was obviously a spy of the Israeli intelligence agencies, but there was something else going on here. Epstein was not some sort of whiz-kid hedge fund manager. Epstein was playing a part.
For some, this seemed notable in the context of her previous statements about preferring to stay out of the spotlight, while others point out that speaking openly in a public setting doesn't necessarily reflect someone's broader intentions. The head and neck analogy appears again as part of her explanation, a metaphor that has been used in various forms of media and discussions about relationships.
And he played it really well. It's nothing new that if you're in the intel agencies, you want to try and get as much blackmail on powerful people as possible.
In this context, she presents it as a way of describing indirect influence within a partnership. Taken together, these moments have led viewers to revisit the clip and interpret it from different angles, often depending on their own perspective. In another moment from the clip, some viewers have pointed out a subtle shift in Erika's delivery. As the discussion continues, her tone and body language appear to change slightly, which a number of people have interpreted in different ways.
And he writes, right there with you, Charlie, we have to shut these maniacs down. Not only is the Republic depending on it, but the citizens of Israel are too. And Charlie said, thank you, I totally agree.
While some see this as a natural adjustment during a live talk, others view it as a moment where she became more mindful of how her words might be received. It's worth noting that the head and neck metaphor itself is widely used and not unusual in discussions about relationships. However, in this case, some viewers have compared this segment with her past public statements, which has led to further discussion in online spaces.
Brett said, and by the way, I think the president needs us to keep the pressure on. The neocons are very vocal and admittedly powerful, but the public does not want war.
One topic that has come up in these conversations relates to her earlier comments about her dating history prior to meeting Charlie. While those statements were initially taken at face value, some online discussions have since referenced publicly shared photos, clips, and social appearances from that general period. These interpretations, however, are based on limited context and have not been clearly confirmed. Because of this, opinions remain divided.
Especially not to be dragged into one by a belligerent Israeli regime. Charlie responds and says, I know, we need to do better. I'm doing all I can. Truly, I was in the White House all day fighting for America. Same tomorrow.
Some viewers believe these details raise questions, while others emphasize that publicly available images or brief clips do not necessarily reflect the full nature of someone's personal life and can easily be misinterpreted without additional context. There are also older clips, reportedly from around 2016, showing Erika attending events and social gatherings in New York City. Some viewers feel these moments present a slightly different picture compared to earlier descriptions of her lifestyle, while others don't see any inconsistency at all and view it as a normal part of personal and professional life.
Okay, these were Charlie's perspectives regarding the Iranian war. That is how Charlie felt about neocons. He felt like they were maniacs.
As more of this content has resurfaced, the conversation has continued to evolve. People have been comparing different moments, discussing timelines, and trying to distinguish between what can be confirmed and what may simply be interpretation. Based on various online discussions, some viewers now see her pre-relationship years as more active and publicly visible than they initially assumed. Publicly available posts and appearances suggest she was involved in events, travel, and opportunities related to entertainment and media. For some, this adds context, while others note that public activity doesn't necessarily reflect someone's private intentions or overall lifestyle. There have also been broader discussions suggesting possible connections to other public figures during that time. However, many of these claims remain unverified and are largely based on limited public material. Because of that, interpretations vary widely, with some viewers exploring these details further and others emphasizing the importance of not drawing conclusions without clear confirmation. At the same time, some online discussions suggest that Erika may have expanded her professional and social network through various connections prior to meeting Charlie. These points are often mentioned in broader conversations about how their paths may have crossed, although specific details are not always clearly documented. One aspect that stands out in these discussions is the contrast between Erika's more public-facing activities and Charlie's relatively private background. Some viewers see this simply as two different lifestyles aligning at a certain point in time, while others believe there may be additional context that isn't fully visible. At the same time, many caution against drawing conclusions without complete information, noting that public perception doesn't always reflect the full picture. Another topic that frequently comes up is the difference in how each of them has addressed certain issues publicly. In his later years, Charlie became known for speaking about topics he believed were important, including calls for greater transparency and discussions around widely debated global matters. He shared these views across interviews, posts, and public appearances, which resonated strongly with his audience. Over time, this focus became a defining part of his public presence. He often encouraged open conversation and expressed his perspective on complex topics, gaining support from those who shared similar concerns and followed his work closely. At the same time, Erika has not publicly spoken in detail about these specific topics, which has been noted by some viewers. Reactions to that vary. Some interpret her decision to stay relatively quiet as meaningful, while others emphasize that choosing not to engage with complex or widely debated issues, especially in a public setting, is a personal and often reasonable choice. This difference in public focus has itself become part of the broader discussion. While Charlie's public presence became closely associated with certain themes, Erika appears to have taken a different approach in terms of what she chooses to address. For some, that contrast is noteworthy, while others see it as simply reflecting individual priorities and communication styles. With no definitive statements clarifying these differences, the conversation continues to develop across online platforms. Viewers compare what has been said publicly with what has not, often arriving at different interpretations based on their own perspectives. Throughout his later years, Charlie remained consistent in sharing his views on topics he considered important. Across various appearances and posts, he spoke about large-scale decisions and encouraged careful consideration of their potential long-term impact. His willingness to address these subjects openly became a recognizable part of his public image. By 2025, Charlie was still actively discussing these topics, often highlighting the importance of considering broader, long-term perspectives. Around that time, he also engaged his audience directly through social media, including polls that reflected how closely many of his followers aligned with his views. Looking at the overall picture, his later years are often described as being focused on two central themes: encouraging greater transparency and speaking about large-scale global developments. These ideas became a consistent part of his public presence and continue to be referenced as people revisit his past content. At the same time, some viewers have noted that Erika has not publicly engaged as much with these particular subjects. Reactions to that remain mixed. While some see it as a notable difference, others view it as a reflection of personal choice and differing priorities in what individuals choose to address publicly. With no definitive conclusions, the discussion continues to evolve. As more people revisit past clips and statements, interpretations vary, leaving an open question as to what holds the most significance and what may simply come down to perspective.